Yo, yo, yo. No, let's do it right. Hey, yo.
Yeah.
It's about time to tune into the number one podcast for just keeping it real and just having unconventional conversation. It is time to pay homage in the very clear and concise way that we know how to do it. It is time to talk about wrestling like nobody else in the world, and that means it is time for the first Black Champ podcast. And I'm Camp from the Port.
And I am JR Bang. Make sure you rate, like, subscribe, download it to the Barbershop Digital home of First Black Champ. Make sure you go ahead and get that merch. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, fbc.pod, fbc_pod, what
Yeah.
digital on Twitch. That's where we're at right now. Shouts out to B. B. Hit me early this morning. Like, yo, what time y'all recording? Because we do go live on Twitch when we record. So that be the
Yes.
joint right there. You know, the pods come out, but when we record, we get we got the Twitch popping. So y'all make sure y'all follow the What Digital.
Word.
Y'all already know the vibes, man.
Yeah, for
y'all,
sure.
Y'all know what we talking about today. We ain't got to talk
Absolutely.
about the road to WrestleMania. We know it's been boring.
Yeah.
It,
Unfortunately, too, and especially when they're calling it the most stupendous WrestleMania, 2-day WrestleMania event ever, and they're calling the title versus title match between Lesnar and Reigns as the number one, like, biggest WrestleMania match of all time, and that's saying a lot for a match that ain't even happened.
Right. Like, hey, look, I know there's going to be some AEWites that says, shouts out to my man Dre. We went to high school with each other. Shouts out to Prasa. I know he's an AEWite. He's the only person that I know personally that has an AEW belt.
Oh, wow.
You know, yeah, he got an AEW belt. He made the AEW belt into K22 as well. So look,
wow.
well, he probably just got the download. Somebody made the shit that. Either way it go, I know people like him is looking at the road to WrestleMania and being like, yo, this shit boring. And you know what? Y'all ain't wrong. So y'all won this one. Look. Hey, that's all I got for that one, you know. With that being said, I don't give a fuck about that shit this episode.
Yeah,
because we gonna honor somebody who we've talked about on this pod before, gave love to, but last week while we were recording the pod, news came out that Scott Hall was placed on life support.
Yeah.
3 heart attacks during or after hip replacement surgery. And then later on in the week he had passed away. That Monday, actually, that next day, it was announced he was passed away. And you know, we of course we do oral histories on the show. And everything. So it was only right to dedicate this show to the life and legacy of Scott Razor Ramon Hall, Big Scott Hall, Scott Gator Hall. What was the other name of my man in NWA when he was in Florida? Starship Coyote.
Yeah.
All of those things. We're going to talk about Razor Ramon and only a way that First Black Champ can do so.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and kick this off.
Beat out, what up?
Oh yeah, he here?
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. I see. That's what I'm talking about. We mentioned you at the beginning. When did you first see Scott Hall and your thoughts on him when you first saw him?
Okay, so no joke, for me, it was, I want to say it was Clash of the Champions, or it was WCW Saturday Night. I really don't remember. But when I first seen Scott Hall, he was the Diamond Stud. And the Diamond Stud was with Diamond Dallas Page. And that's back when Diamond Dallas Page was cutting the promos with the good God. And when he was doing those promos. And when he was building the Diamond Exchange, because he would, I seen the Diamond Stud first, and then I seen Vinny Vegas with Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah.
They were the Diamond Exchange, and that was my introduction of him. Where he kind of looked like, I was like, so like, is he like a stripper that's like a wrestler? But like, if you really think about it, as this comes to my mind, the Diamond Stud was really Val Venus with no porno or no gyrate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I didn't register that until like later in time after you see the Val Venus character. But for me, WCW Saturday Night or Clash of the Champions, building of the Diamond Exchange, Scott Hall as the Diamond Stud was the first time that I seen him. And that was early 90s. I'm going to say like 91.
Yeah, it would be 91. It would be 91 because that's the first time that I see him too. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a wrestling nerd. I've talked about this. I talked about it on this show today. I mean, on this show, and I will talk about it on the show today. That I'm a nerd when it comes to this. So being that I'm a nerd when it comes to this wrestling stuff, I was the guy that was coming to school and being like, "Yo, did you see this person? Did you see this person? That person? Yada yada yada." And Diamond Stud was one of those people, and he was doing the Razor's Edge then.
Yeah.
So, the Razor's Edge is a modified version of the Power Bomb.
Yeah.
But it was new to me then. So I was like, yo, who is this big ass dude with Diamond Dallas Page that's doing this joint right here? I think he was built as like 6'7", 300 pounds, cut up and everything. But with that being the first time that I saw him, my wrestling nerd ass had to go get Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And that's when I learned more about the Diamond Stud and finding out that he was in the tag team with Mr. Perfect and AWA. They was actually AWA tag team champions. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. And when you find things out about wrestlers, especially at that time when you don't have the internet or whatever. So wrestling nerd in me went to go unpack some stuff, but the Diamond Stud instantly became a wrestler that I hope that made it, because at that time in 1991 they was trying to bring in young wrestlers, and some of the young wrestlers that they had there was trying to build up, like Brian Pillman. They tried to do some stuff with Tom Zink. This is the era where Sting is starting to become the Sting we know and love, as far as blonde hair. That Sting. We talk about that, right? We talk about that Sting because to me, there's three different Stings. It's him, then the man they call Sting, which I still hate that theme song, and then we got the Crow. Then my wrestling nerd ass is watching WWF Superstars, and the greatest vignettes in the history of wrestling. I don't give a shit what nobody say. It is not a hot take. To me, the two greatest vignettes are Razor Ramon and Mr. Perfect. Razor Ramon is number one. I start seeing those vignettes and I go, that's the Diamond Stud. He over here now. And you start seeing the vignettes. You start seeing my man with the Scarface references and everything and the clothes and stuff. So my question to you is when you start seeing the Razor Ramon vignettes, though, where does it take you now?
So I won't front. Because of the packaging, I didn't realize he was the Diamond Stud at first.
You did?
It wasn't until the Clean the Table. Wait, was the Clean the Table venue first or was that second?
I think that was second.
So yeah, because when he was like, my life is great, man. Good food, good chicas, you know what I'm saying? All of that shit. I was like, okay. And then when dude left the bill on the table, he was like, oh, what is this? Like, I'm not paying for like, you think I'm supposed to pay? And then he was like, oh, you want me to clear the table for you? I'll clear the table for you, man. And then I was like, yo, that's a Diamond Stud. Like, yo, that's the Diamond Stud. I remember him. Like, oh, shoot. I was like, wow, he Razor Ramon. Like, this is going to be pretty good. And you know what? to your point, I never thought about it being the number one vignettes. I mean, but the Razor Ramon rollout was why I expected wrestlers to have rollouts.
Bingo.
You know what I'm saying? Like I expected vignettes after the Razor Ramon character debuted the way he did, because they did a month of promo and then he wrestled.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we talked about old wrestling joints last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like video games. And to me, this is just me talking. I don't know what everybody else feels. This is me. When you play the video games and they have the promo joint where you can have a promo and you do the to me, that's because of Razor Ramon. At old WWF, but Razor Ramon. Because those promos kept you engaged for a wrestler that you did not see for a whole month, and then you saw him.
Yeah.
And learning the interesting story about how the character came about, now, years later, made it even wild. And for those who never heard the story, if you didn't see the documentary and everything, if you didn't hear the story about how Razor Ramon was pitched, Scott Hall comes to the WWF. He's wrestling in dark matches and stuff, and they like him. They sign him, but they don't know what to do with him.
Right.
A la what you guys would say happens today.
Right.
When we sign wrestlers, you know. It's neither here nor there. So what happens is they are unsure what to do with him. Vince McMahon has the conversation. What do you like? Who's in your family? He says his dad was like in the army, whatever. So they start thinking about army shit. And he was worried. Like, oh man, they about to have me out here as G.I. Joe and shit.
Right.
So then he said, you know what? What's your favorite movie? And he says, you know, Scarface. Vince McMahon, and this is why I be telling people, and I believe this to be true, especially at that time in the early 90s, that Vince McMahon never saw Scarface. Them Marks never saw Scarface, and he pitches them a Scarface type character and hits them with the say hello to the bad guy shit. And they busting nothing like, yo, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
You're Razor Ramon. You're from Miami, Florida. We gonna get you all the clothes, all that stuff, do the vignettes, and then you come out. Fam, I'm so glad that Scott Hall didn't come out as like Captain Scott Hall or some shit.
Right.
Like the Patriot without a mask or some shit. I am so glad, because it gave us one of the greatest characters that we will see in the WWE. So then he debuts, and one of the interesting things when he debuts, and this is hot shotting at its finest, they involve him in the feud with Macho Man and the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
They put him with Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. The Mr. Perfect thing was perfect because they're former tag team champions in AWA. So they know each other. These are the homies. They've probably done some dirt. So this is the perfect person you put on the road with this person, with somebody, and then you put him with Ric Flair, which in turn, I don't know about you, but for me, I think I forgot who it was on Twitter that asked me when Razor Ramon could have been a world champion. And I said, man, you know what? I don't know. And one of the reasons why I said I don't know is because when you look at it, he was, since day one, involved in some of the biggest feuds. But at the time, though, it was still put the belt on insert wrestler here. Until, and I'll get to that until part. But one of my favorite Razor Ramon moments is one of the reasons why I'm going back and watching primetime wrestling and all of that. Because of a lot of the Macho Man Mr. Perfect, Ultimate Warrior, Ric Flair stuff happened on that show.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up seeing Mr. Perfect leave Ric Flair and them after the Ultimate Warrior dips. And then you get Macho Man and Mr. Perfect versus Ric Flair and Razor Ramon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll pass it over to you when you now see Razor Ramon involved in such a big feud at the time, especially with Hogan not around and the company trying to find its way, I guess you would say, like life after Hogan starting to creep up on him. Like, what are your thoughts seeing Razor Ramon in such a big feud early on?
All right. So I got to speak from a different perspective because in real time, I don't care about any of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a child. I'm like 12, 13 years old. This is just wrestling to me. I have no conscious mindset of top guys versus being buried.
Yeah, you're not the geek like me.
Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I guess we to frame it like that. Yeah.
All right, look, I was looking at Pro Wrestling Illustrated contenders and shit. So
yeah, and you know what?
You ain't that.
Yeah, right. Like if I open it up, it's just to see who were the champs in other federations, and if it was a story I recognize. Like that was literally it. Like I never read into actual detail. So I just sit and I just watch it. And I was like, wow. I was like, man, Razor Ramon is like on every week. Like they got him, in the forefront. I want to answer that question unless it's going to step on the next topic that you got about.
No, that is next because.
Okay, bet. Well, then
go ahead. I want you to answer that.
So my guess though would be 1996, aka the year he left, and I can explain that, especially when you think about the landscape of what happened with Lightning in the Bottle. And I don't even know the dates, but I'm just going to say, man, God smiled on Vince McMahon because certain shit he couldn't have predicted happening. Because there was a callback to even justify Razor Ramon being the main event within the next 3 or 4 WrestleManias.
Right.
So, but we can either unpack that at a later time or
we can unpack that now because for me, looking back on it, he should have beat Bret Hart.
So
go ahead, because I want you to go ahead.
So dig it. I'm glad you said Bret Hart. The Royal Rumble, 8.5 years versus 8.5 months. WWE title match. I still think he should have lost because WrestleMania 10, I believe, is the match. That is the match that says, okay, all right, Razor, you're going to main event this bitch real soon because we got to make some shit shake.
So,
and
go ahead, because I got a theory.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Because while Razor Ramon exists, the Ringmaster exists. And Shawn Michaels needs another opponent that's not Bret Hart. Who is Shawn Michaels' best opponent to date after WrestleMania 10? Many people will say Razor Ramon in the ladder match because they even ran it back, not like as kind of like a house show. It was like the biggest main event house show ever. They did 2 ladder matches,
and they did the SummerSlam joint.
Yes, and I look at that moment and I'm like, well, what a perfect way to introduce that again than by doing it at WrestleMania like 13, 14, because there was, like, obviously Razor Ramon was one of the hottest superstars in the company when he left. Like, we really don't get that. Like, literally how he got to the WWF from WCW, he left back greater than when he came.
Oh, yeah.
So literally what normally happens for guys that leave the WWE and come back happened in reverse. So with the ringmaster existing, with Bret Hart already getting over, with Shawn Michaels needing another opponent for WrestleMania because that's his guy. You can't convince me that after the Iron Man match, that Razor Shawn ain't next for the main event of WrestleMania.
So I'm glad that you said all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I say in hindsight, he should have won.
Mm-hmm.
It's The Undertaker.
See,
at that time, you could win some shit and don't necessarily got to go to WrestleMania.
True.
You don't necessarily have to go. But when I found out, and I don't know if you know this, but when I found out that the original Royal Rumble main event was supposed to be Bret Hart versus the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, shit. I did not know that. Wow.
Bingo. And I knew this before doing small research, because when I do these things, I try to make it as authentic and organic as possible. But on this one, I did some research and I saw that like years ago that the original main event at the Royal Rumble was supposed to be the Ultimate Warrior versus Bret Hart. That changed a lot of, when you think about it, the progression of the WWF at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a shorty, if you see Bret Hart versus the Ultimate Warrior in a title match in any way, shape, or form, who you think winning that belt?
No, the Warrior, hands down.
Hands down.
In 90 seconds.
Right. It's not gonna be a long match. This is not gonna be a technical masterpiece. We're not gonna get a lot of drop toe holds and no shit like that. You'll get like a Macho Man Ultimate Warrior style match or whatever. So the Ultimate Warrior was being positioned to be the man after Hulk Hogan left. They replaced him with Razor Ramon. I don't think, in my opinion, just my opinion, I don't think that Bret Hart's title reign, that first one, going into all of that, was really solidified. Okay. We've talked about that. I've talked about that here and all of that stuff, which is one of the main reasons why Hulk Hogan had to come back, and they did that whole thing with the belt, and he dropped it the way that he dropped it.
Yeah. I mean, you have a great point, because of the whole fighting champion concept that was never seen before.
Never seen before.
And definitely not highlighted as such.
Oh, hell no. So to me, if Royal Rumble happens and that's your main event, I think that would have been the time. To me, that would have been the time that he would have been world champion where he was at the time. I don't say WCW mainly because now at that time, Kevin Nash is a world champion as Diesel.
Right.
And since he's a world champion in Diesel, he eclipses the homie because of his accolades when he gets over there.
Yeah.
But if they put the same battery in his back like they did with The Undertaker, even though Tuesday in Texas happened, I think we look at Razor Ramon a bit differently. And people who don't understand how bad guy Razor Ramon, when he first came out, was kind of, for me, kind of scary. I guess if you watch Scarface enough, even at the age that I was, which I saw a couple of times, and you see this dude come up here with the moveset that he got, he didn't have to beat you with the Razor's Edge. He could have just beat you with the move that sets up the Razor's Edge, which is the back body drop off the top rope.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, Razor Ramon, he's much scarier than Scarface if you really think about it. Because he's bigger than the average wrestler. Then, like, he's pretty quick. He's doing very, like, brawlish like wrestling moves though. Like he beating the shit out you,
Yes.
but it's technically sound though in certain pockets. So
I'm glad I wasn't the only one, because you'll be watching them on Superstars really beating the shits out of people.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Even on the, what was the In Your House game when he did the clothesline and his arm turned into a razor and it cut you when he was clotheslining you down. I was like,
Man.
yeah, that's.
So now I want to take it back though, just to take it back a bit to before he got to the WWF.
Okay.
Because we, you might as well jump this out the way. Very accomplished, and he looked much different than he did as soon as he got to WCW.
Yeah, I always thought he was Tom Selleck. I was like, yo, Swole Tom Selleck is out here wrestling.
Swole Tom Selleck, Scott Hall. I mean, we learned much about his early life when they did the ESPN documentary. Him as a bouncer.
Yeah, man.
Got a body on deck. You know what I'm saying? So we heard about that and was like, God damn. But then he gets into wrestling with the help of Dusty Rhodes and company, and he goes to NWA. He goes to Florida. He goes to Florida as Starship Coyote, in a tag team with one of my favorite no knee wrestlers. One of my favorite no knee having wrestlers, Dangerous Dan Spivey. And it just shows how all of these wrestlers are connected, because then you got Dangerous Dan Spivey that comes over to WCW as well. You got Kevin Nash eventually coming over there. Kevin Nash having a number of roles, including Vinny Vegas. You got the Skyscrapers type stuff that's going on. All of these wrestlers are connected somehow. You got Scott Hall that finally comes over there as the Diamond Stud and all of that. But all of these wrestlers had major success in a company that we, along with Jonathan Hood, did a oral history on, AWA. It is wild to hear, to read and hear how Vern Gagne was going to make Scott Hall his Hulk Hogan. Even had him doing some of the Hulk Hogan mannerisms, and he looking like Tom Selleck with the big hair and the mustache and everything. Big Scott Hall. And then he goes from NWA to AWA, tag team champions with Kurt Hennig. But he wouldn't let them put the belt on him, because he was like, yo, this is a sinking ship. I'm getting the fuck up out of here. I don't want that belt. We good. I'm about to go. Then he goes to WCW. So that is the legacy before we start to see the legend that it is Scott Hall, when he was out here looking like Tom Selleck and Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Now, after the Warrior leaves and then the Bret Hart stuff happens and everything, he's still out here kicking ass. But here's something in looking at this that I found that was very underrated, and to me made him an even better wrestler.
Okay.
Because you kind of mentioned it with the Shawn Michaels thing. It just seemed like, if he would have stayed in the WWE, a Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon WrestleMania main event for the World Championship had to have been in the cards at some point. But let's take a look at this. He turns face. How did he turn face? He turned face because he lost to a jobber.
Yeah.
That jobber had about 14 names before they gave him the 1, 2, 3 kid.
You know what I'm saying? The Dynamite Kid, the Lightning Kid, the Kid.
Just put some kid around his shit.
Right.
Who was a member of the Clique?
Sean Waltman, a.k.a. the 1, 2, 3 Kid.
And he puts him over in a major way. And now he's a face. He's protecting the little guy. And at SummerSlam 1994, he retires the $1 Million Man. That's the $1 Million Man's last match in the WWE. He retires him because the $1 Million Man is the $10,000 when the 1, 2, 3 Kid ran off with the money. That shit's still hilarious. Because it's like, yo, they had my man 1, 2, 3 Kid over there like, man, I'm just trying to feed my family.
Right.
I'm broke out here, fam. I'm just trying to wrestle to feed my family. But then he turns face. He beats the $1 Million Man. He retires him.
Mhm.
And then the 1-2-3 Kid turns heel on him, and it's him and Sid Justice or Psycho Sid in the tag team, and that shit was still hilarious because
Yeah.
the 1-2-3 Kid was all small and puny and everything. But shouts out to the 1-2-3 Kid when he wore that Japanese silk joint.
Right.
And I think it was like WrestleMania 11. I was watching that early. I was like, yo, my man out here with the silk stockings,
You know what I'm saying?
Karate Jump doing all of that shit. Now, let's also go when he's the Intercontinental Champion. He beats Shawn Michaels for it, of course, at WrestleMania 10.
Mhm.
One of the great, I would say, once that match happens, the greatest match in WrestleMania history.
Yeah, I'm with you.
He wins it. Who did he lose the Intercontinental Championship to? He loses it to Diesel.
Mhm.
On, to me, the best wrestling match on WWE Superstars in its history.
Okay.
Who's a member of the Clique?
Kevin Nash, aka Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
And Shawn Michaels puts them
Yes.
over basically successfully because in a loss, Shawn Michaels ended up becoming what you kind of hate his name being, Mr.
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, right. I mean, I get like, and they keep tailoring it every year. Every year now they tailor it. It was like, yo, he don't be his winning percentage is one of the worst though.
He's
It's
like
the
6.
performance.
He's like 6-11.
Yeah, but the performance, Cam. The performances.
Yeah, I feel you on that. But yeah, the performance is okay.
I was like, but then eventually we recognize the Undertaker as being 16-0.
Right. And then also we got Razor Ramon and Triple H's that had matches with each other before. No, of course he did. So he put over all of the homies.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form possible, which I think that's an underrated part of the Razor Ramon story.
Yeah.
He made sure that all of the homies look good, and they all look good basically with Razor Ramon in big moments.
Yeah.
It wasn't no moment that Triple H had with the homies was not a career turning moment for that homie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, look, the Razor Ramon character is you either have your best match or one of your biggest moments. Like that's literally what he did consistently from start to finish, really.
Yeah, and multiple time Intercontinental Champion. We've seen him have matches and feuds with Jeff Jarrett, Dean Douglas, and others.
Goldust.
The infamous shit with Goldust, where I still don't know how true this was, because sometimes we get interviews, you don't know if they shooting, if it's kayfabe or whatever. But I definitely remember when cats was like, Razor Ramon ain't trying to wrestle Goldust because he gay.
Right, yeah. And the look on his face didn't make it no better when the gold glitter started falling from the sky, and he looked like he was about to get on some anti-alternative lifestyle bashing.
Yes,
is what I'll say.
Like, nah, I'm whooping dude ass. But shortly, like after that, you start to see him lose matches, which we don't know it at the time, but he's starting to exit out of the WWE. Now, before we get to the other career-altering moments of Scott Hall, because it just seems to me all of his career has been career-altering moments. What is Razor Ramon's legacy, in your opinion, in the WWE at that time?
Man, at that time, I'll be fair because I really did feel like this because it's based on my time. He's one of the best Intercontinental champions ever to me. That's what I have him as. Again, I'm a kid. I don't think like, oh, he should be the world champion or he should main event WrestleMania. It's literally just as simple as, wow, you know what? That was a really cool character. So still one of the coolest characters ever. one of the greatest Intercontinental champions, because I was really like fascinated by the Intercontinental title. And that's pretty much it for me. You know, great character, great Intercontinental champion. And I kind of like, I don't get it. Like I don't get why he's not around anymore until I watch WCW.
Now that's how I know we think alike, because he was the greatest Intercontinental champion to me at that time. Story time with JR Bang here real quick. He was on an episode of Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
Where Hydea, I can't remember her last name, but she was the young black girl that contracted HIV.
Yeah.
And it was a white boy on Jerry Springer. And I know I probably shouldn't have thought what I thought at that time, but Razor Ramon came out there. It was a great segment, giving the kids love everything, and he gave the boy the Intercontinental Championship he had on his waist. So I had two thoughts, Kemp. Thought number one was, damn, how you gonna get another Intercontinental Championship if he just gave it to him? I have no clue about replica belts.
Right. Yeah.
Them making extra belts.
Right.
I thought you get one belt and one belt only.
Right.
So when he gave that boy that belt on Jerry Springer, my ass was like, damn, where you gonna get an extra belt from? And man, why the white boy got to get a belt? So what? He got A's. I was jealous. I was fuck out of here. Razor Ramon out here get his white boy belt because he got A's. Maybe he shouldn't have got A's.
Man.
I was really like, there's very few moments of my life I've been jealous of somebody on TV. Nigga, that was one of them. That might have been the first one. I was really upset. Like, he's not going to be around. He can't take the belt with him. I thought of every fucking moment of very disrespectfulness of why this boy should not have a championship belt.
Oh, no.
Now I'm older and I was like, damn, I feel bad for even thinking like that. But at the time, I'm like, nah, fam, fuck dude. Give me that belt. Like, shit. What I got to do to get the belt? That's all I'm thinking in my head.
Right.
But yeah, that was, I felt bad for thinking that like years later. But at the moment, nah, fam, Razor, come to the hood. Give one of us the belt.
Pull up.
Hey, right, pull up. And then you start seeing the pictures of him and Opalaka, and you're like, damn, man. He could have came to out west. And it's something, and I'm gonna say this for the end because it's something that I talked about on Some Dude this week around wrestlers, non-black wrestlers. And I want to get your thought on that. Okay. Now, let's fast forward this shit now, because Razor Ramon is not on TV. Right. I don't think that the fake Razor Ramon is on TV right now. I don't think Jim Ross has the
no, not yet.
Not yet. So we just out here like, damn, what the fuck is Scott? Like, Razor Ramon is really gone in this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So what the fuck is going on? This is now 1996. We are, in high school or about to graduate from high school and everything. And I'll never forget this because it was a week after my birthday, 1996. I had cable at this point in my life. May 27th, 1996. Okay. It's Mike Enos. And I forgot who he was wrestling. But I remember Mike Enos. And you see a dude with a denim suit, with the denim jacket, with the arms cut off and everything. And you looking, you like, wait a minute. What the fuck? Niggas Razor Ramon.
Right.
What he doing here?
With a whole ass jean jacket, a stonewashed jean set on with no sleeves.
Stonewashed jean jackets and some Doc Martens. You're like, wait, whoa. Now, I'm going to ask you this question, Camp, and I'm going to see if the same thing happened. It was the same thing said at my school.
Okay.
At Michelle Clark in the 8th grade. You're in high school because you're a year over me.
Yeah.
Your freshman year, my 8th grade year
Mm-hmm.
was the same question at your high school. Was it the same in my 8th grade class? WWF is about to fight WCW.
Man, no, because that was Razor Ramon to me. and then when he was like, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh shoot, they about to like. I was like, yo, who's coming with Razor Ramon to beat up Sting?
Man. Gee, we came to school the next day at the lunchroom, the same conversation. Even the most the people that you didn't think watch wrestling, all of the gang members who you didn't think watch wrestling was like, hey Lee, hey yo, WWF about to fight WCW. Yo, we saw Razor Ramon pop up on TV last night.
Yeah.
Like shit, I don't know. This shit wild.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm glad you said it exactly how you said it, because that moment made people that you didn't even know watch wrestling admit they was watching wrestling.
There's no way around it, ladies and gentlemen. That's why that moment when y'all talk about Forbidden Doors, I don't give a shit about your Kenny Omega going to Impact.
Right.
I don't give a shit about your Jay White coming to Impact. I don't give a shit about Cody coming to the WWE.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about none of what y'all talking about as the Forbidden Door. The Forbidden Door only happened, and it was closed real quickly because WWF was like, oh shit, y'all ain't about to get over on us. Y'all, they sued the company. They sued Turner to make sure that the people know this ain't WWF versus WCW.
Yeah. And that is when the announcement of Razor Ramon returning to Raw came.
Yeah.
It was that, because to break it down for everybody, because maybe you don't remember in real time, but Scott Hall came to WCW Nitro as Razor Ramon. Like, first of all,
he did, yes.
Like, he literally, he had the toothpick and everything. Like, it was, and so basically, Vince let that shit go for about 2 or 3 weeks. It was like, oh, this motherfucker really Razor Ramon over there, huh? And they just not calling him by his name. Like they didn't say it was Scott Hall. They didn't say it was Razor Ramon. Like, he didn't even have a name. He was just dude that's popping up. And I'm like,
shocked. He was just shocked.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Dude here.
Right. So then Vince was like, oh, wait, nah, dude with the banana on the corner. I don't like that shit. No, I don't like that shit. Mm-mm. And then they sue. And then so when that's in place, then he was like, no, Razor Ramon and Diesel back. Watch.
Right. And
gonna be on Raw.
And that's what I'm going to lead to before we keep going here. What was your thoughts when heel Jim Ross, because he was a heel, started talking that shit about how Razor Ramon and Diesel was back, and he gave you some dude and Kane?
Man, no, Salvador Sincere and Kane. Let's get.
Wait a minute, that's Salvador. Wait a minute, whoa. That was Salvador. Wait a minute, nah.
I think that was Salvador Sincere.
I hope not.
Look, hey yo, check it out. Just check it out. I think it's him. I think it was Salvador Sincere and Kane. Because Kane was Isaac Yankem.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Because Salvatore Sincere his name is Tom Brandy.
Okay.
I definitely had to look that up because I was like, wait a minute, because the motherfuckers kind of look alike.
Right. So sorry, Tom Brandy or Brady or whatever your name is. I thought you were Salvador Sincere because I was like, wait, ain't that the dude that just had the rolls in his mouth a few months ago? The fuck is this? I was like, and then like, dude really wasn't in great shape. Like,
nah, he wasn't.
but yeah,
I was so pissed.
Yeah. No, when I seen that, I was like, oh, so heel Jim Ross doing the promos, right? So now I really think the shit is real. Real meaning like, oh, well, they about to come back. Like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash are coming back to wrestle on Raw. Because they're not telling WCW's not telling me Razor Ramon and Diesel are there. Eric Bischoff is not recognizing Razor Ramon and Big Daddy Cool Diesel. So I really think they're showing up.
Yep.
And then one of the worst spoiler alerts, or one of the worst like happenstances in wrestling history, in my view, happened. No disrespect to Kane, but you'll never fucking beat Diesel. Like that was super trash. And then dude I thought was Salvador Sincere. Like, I'm like, no. So now so then I started thinking, like, are they making fun of the characters? Because these are the Huckster Nacho Man promos are going
right
at this time too. So I'm like, are they making fun of them now?
Because to me, I ain't know.
Yeah.
To me, that's the first time IP ever came into existence for me. And that just shows you how big that moment was.
Yeah.
Basically, we own the name.
Mm-hmm.
We could go put some other two marks up in there. Y'all ass gonna go by your real names, which even to me changed the course of history, because some wrestlers went by their real name, but the majority of the time it was a tweak of their real name.
Right.
But the greatest stars was Sting, the Ultimate Warrior,
right,
the Macho Man Randy Savage,
right,
Hulk Hogan. Like Hulk, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the bigger part of it, to what you're saying, to piggyback off it, is we never watched the big character end up being a regular guy afterwards.
No, you was not gonna call Hulk Hogan Terry Bollea at the height of WrestleMania.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like
Steve Borden coming out here. Like, you not.
Right. You know
Nikita Koloff is a white dude who changed his name to Nikita Koloff to really live the gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Hall came in WCW as his real name.
Yeah.
And Kevin Nash comes in right after him, like, why Hulk Hogan get to keep his name? Like, then we was like, oh, that's why all that shit be at the bottom of like every WWF pay-per-view. So now going back to Razor Ramon or Scott Hall now being in WCW. WWF sues. Hey, we want to make sure this ain't Razor Ramon sliding over there. God damn it, you gonna use your real name? I'm even shocked at that time, because I know who he is, that he just doesn't use the diamond stud again.
Man, that something that I didn't even think about until like later, but there's no diamond exchange. So I kind of equate that, like, because I mean, eventually they do this NWO thing without doing it, but they're labeling them the Outsiders. So now I want to speak on that real quick, because that's when it becomes the coolest shit ever to me, just by naming them that. Not because of what they're doing in the ring, because I just read the book The Outsiders and we watched the movie for class.
Yeah.
So I see that and I was like, oh, these motherfuckers is Pony Boy in them. Oh shit. Like, stay gold. They about to do this shit. Because the Outsiders was some cool badass white boys.
Yeah.
That got their shit off.
Shouts out to the greasers.
Yeah, you dig what I'm saying? So it escalates for me positively when they start calling them the Outsiders, because I have knowledge of the book and the movie at this point. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm here for this. This is dope.
And for me, it was just, this is another way of saying that we from up north, we don't really belong here, but we gonna whoop y'all ass while we here. And let me say this too, because Kevin Nash comes in June. And it's the slow build to July 7th, 1996, where Hulk Hogan officially joins the trio, the duo now. Their trio, and the NWO was born. We get hilarious moments like Rey Mysterio getting thrown like a dart and everything. But let me say this.
All right. Because I got the question for you after that.
All right. The NWO does not work in this way.
Mm.
And this is the way I'm talking about. Hulk Hogan turning heel. To me, he's been a heel since WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
We've been through this shit. I'm in the Bobby Heenan camp. I told y'all niggas. And we're in summer now. And we go outside the next day like, yo, y'all saw the fuck what happened on WCW last night? Nigga, Hulk Hogan a bad guy. But none of that shit worked without the coolness of Razor Ramon and Kevin Nash.
Yeah,
so I'm going to answer your question, and then now I'm going to pose a question for you. Go right ahead.
Okay. So as this is all breaking down, before Bash at the Beach, before Hogan is announced, did you find yourself picking sides subconsciously?
Yes. Oh yeah. And it wasn't even subconsciously. It was consciously. I was hot Scott Hall and Kevin Nash all day long.
Yeah.
Mind you, my favorite wrestler of all time is the Macho Man. But I hate Lex Luger. I hate this version of Sting.
Right.
Because as I said on this pod, and as I will continue to say, I hate the man they call Sting. The man they call, because I think that Sting was a bitch. I just never said why. That Sting was a soft ass bitch. I like I like that Sting because that Sting wasn't for the games. The motherfucker tried to fuck up Ric Flair and tore his ACL in the goddamn process.
Yeah,
that Sting wasn't for the games. The man they call Sting was too fucking nice and loved the fans and everything. So it was a great change in his character when his ass became the Crow. But I hated the man they call Sting because Sting to me is unstoppable until he see a little white boy. So this is the important part to me. This is the underrated part of the Scott Hall thing, right? All right, because we could go on and on about, his matches and everything.
Yeah.
And stuff. And, he won World War III. They won the tag team championships on multiple occasions. He fought for the world championship, but he didn't win it and all of those things. He had issues. But I wanted to take the conversation a little bit differently here. Because I think this would be, what I'm about to talk about here is the most underrated part of the legacy of Scott Hall.
Okay.
And it is about race. Razor Ramon was the coolest wrestler I've ever seen in my life. Razor Ramon had us doing the Razor's Edge to kids, girls, and our homies. Like, if you were to poll niggas, they will tell you that one of the moves that they put on girls the most is the Razor's Edge. Because you could just lay them down. You don't want to get in the stunner. It's too violent. You don't want to super kick them, and then you might kick their ass on for real. You don't want to give them the sharpshooter. You save that for the homie. But the Razor's Edge and Michelle Clark, we was giving chicks the Razor's Edges. They would stop. Go. What you doing? Ooh. That was a coolness factor of Razor Ramon, and then in turn Scott Hall through the NWO that I don't think will ever be that will ever be matched.
Okay.
But here's why I bring race into play, and I'm not bringing race into play in a bad way. This is actually a good way. You see nothing but black people. Everybody's giving him his flowers, but the amount of black people giving this man his flowers. You got Smoke Dizzler rapping over the Razor Ramon theme. You got Wale rapping over the theme. You got Razor Ramon name being dropped in bars all over hip hop and everything.
West Side Gun going as Hall.
Yeah, man, right. Yes, having a tattoo and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, do white wrestlers or certain white wrestlers know the effect that they have on our culture?
Mm.
Razor Ramon is one of those wrestlers who had that effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like Razor Ramon, Ric Flair, Kevin Nash could get pussy at the 50-yard line right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like right with the sandy gray hair coming up in there looking like homie from Roadhouse, Sam Elliott. Tie that bitch out, teach me how to step. There's certain wrestlers, Sting.
Yeah.
Is one of those wrestlers. I don't fuck with him heavy, but Hulk Hogan.
Man.
And I know Hulk Hogan knows because he started using the word nigga.
Yeah.
and in a good way and a bad way, according to him.
Yeah. Hey, Hogan know where all the nigga bitches at.
Right, yeah. But I wonder when he passed or before he passed, did Razor Ramon know the effect that he had on the culture? For all of the diversity and inclusion stuff and everything that we have, like there are white wrestlers that we do take as our own.
Mm-hmm.
Ric Flair, to me, has been taken by black people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The NWO was also taken by us until they start adding like Buff Bagwell.
Hey, Buff is the stuff, man. Hey, Buff is my guy too. I like Buff.
I mean, he's funny.
Hey, listen. One of the funniest Monday Night Wrestling moments ever was when he was in Atlanta and he started doing the Dirty Bird and actually he had a heart attack because Coach Reeves did. Oh my God!
Yeah.
And the crowd started booing. That was some of the most effective cheap heat I ever saw. Besides that time, Elias they booed him out the arena that I think it was in Seattle. I think it was wherever that was. Yeah. But no, hey, when he hit the Dirty Bird and then act like he was having a heart attack, and that crowd reacted, man. Buff Bagwell.
And he's from there. That's the crazy part. He's from Marietta.
Right, yeah. Marcus Alexander Bagwell.
But in your opinion, do you think some wrestlers understand the impact that they have on the culture? And of course, when I talk culture, I mean us.
Nope. And I don't think it's by complete design by them. It's back to a conversation that we've had here on the show about how the black dollar spends in the wrestling world.
Right.
Now, granted, I think that, for instance, a Scott Hall and a Kevin Nash are very aware of Cool. And you know what I'm saying? Because and Cool is its own culture that's not necessarily black or hip hop culture.
Kevin Nash was out here rocking FUBU and on Nitro.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. He had when he threw Rey Mysterio, he had the bandana tied up like Pac and yelled "Thug Life" in the camera. So I think he
did. I forgot about the Thug Life part.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I think that they just knew Cool, but didn't know that embracing it would make us embrace them even more. Like if you really think about it, the Clique. I don't want to leave this to a federation at all. But when the Clique embraced hip hop and rap culture and just black culture, they were never wannabes. They were never typecasted, stereotyped. They were never wiggers. Like they were like, we kind of took him like, yeah, motherfucking Kevin Nash. Like, I know black bitches want to fuck him now. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, Razor Ramon can come to the hood. It's whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like we'll hold dude down. Like, versus Too Cool, different story.
See, I'm glad that you said that. Because I think the legacy of Scott Hall is more than about wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, we could get on this joint and we could say that he's one of the best wrestlers to never win a world championship. But I now hate that because Jake the Snake Roberts never needed a world championship.
Right.
And he would tell you, shit, no, I'm straight. I was
Yeah.
straight. I mean, it would have been cool, but I was over. And
Right.
some people need that belt to get over.
Right.
And Scott Hall to me never needed the and that's why when that question was asked earlier, to me that was really the only time because how he came in.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Scott Hall never ever needed the world championship. He put all of his homies over.
Mm-hmm.
He played his position as the third nigga in the NWO.
Yeah.
If you was the champ, you had to be the leader. Scott Hall was never going to be the leader in the NWO. He was having too much fun being the homie.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think people really understood that. Or even now, when everybody's like, oh, everybody got to be a world champion.
Right.
Scott Hall was the homie that will beat your ass for the homie. He will hold you down. He will make sure he got you a la Zid, the lightning, the cattle prod to Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
He was that guy. That guy don't win the championship. And you know what? That guy cool because that guy's still high on the card.
Mm-hmm.
You want to win these tag team championships? Let's go beat Harlem Heat's ass.
Yeah.
Let's go beat the Steiner brothers' ass. Let's go. All right, cool. We ain't gonna win it tonight. I might go for the U.S. championship. I don't know. I don't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? What you want to do? I got you. But I'm here to say, and I know ain't no other show gonna talk about this. I know ain't no other show gonna talk about this. They're gonna talk about Razor Ramon and they're gonna kick it off about the rest of what Metro should you watch. No. Scott Hall had an effect on the culture as a wrestler that's probably second to Ric Flair.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I've seen so many of my homies who left wrestling, who watched it, and then eventually left it, say, hey, that was my nigga.
Right. Yeah. No fact.
Razor Ramon, I fucked with.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if white wrestlers like Razor Ramon, like Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, same person, Kevin Nash, and even to a case, because I know some people like, nah, he got to know, because he did the joint with the Migos. Come on, man, like The Rock did a joint with Wyclef.
Yeah, and that didn't feel black.
That didn't feel black culture. That just Let's be real. I'm here for that. When the man did a song with Wyclef, it didn't feel black.
Yeah, at all.
Do white wrestlers like those know the effect that they have on the culture? Because Scott Hall, since the day he popped up in the WWE /F, had an effect on the culture.
Yeah.
He's one of the hood's favorite wrestlers.
Yeah. And then when you think of the aesthetics, obviously the vignettes, but the gold chains. Like the Razor Ramon music is low-key the first rhythmic bop in wrestling.
Yes.
Like even more so than the Harlem Heat theme music, because when you hear that, it's like it kind of sound like just outdated like African Bambaataa like rap music.
Soul. It sounds like Soul of Soul producer.
Yeah, it's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? If they add an extra sound in this, my man from CNC Music Factory about to hop on this bitch. You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely Keep On Moving.
Man,
in a different way.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Keep on moving, don't stop.
No. Keep on moving. Keep on moving, don't stop. No. Keep on moving. Yeah. It's definitely Soul of Soul. But
but the Razor Ramon music, yo, when that used to come on the wrestling games, you might kick a little, you know what I'm saying? Kick an 8 or something. You know what I'm saying?
There's nobody who's ever wrote some shit that's heard the Razor Ramon theme song and not rapped over it.
Facts.
And we got mad when Smoke Dizza did it because we was like, wait a minute, we're rapping over theme songs now?
Right. I was like, oh man, I've been doing this since 94. What the
Right.
fuck?
We were rapping over theme songs now? When did this happen? This is cool to do? Like,
right.
To me, like, give me your top 5 hood favorite wrestlers. And I guarantee you, Razor Ramon is in there. Because I can tell you 3 off top.
Okay.
That every time I hear somebody talk about wrestling, 4. I give you 4 off top.
Okay.
Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And I ain't talking about matches.
Yeah, no, like the wrestler.
Like the wrestler. Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. Oh, see, and the Ultimate Warrior.
I was gonna say, you know what? For the hood, I ain't gonna front on you. For the hood, I think you're right, but I think the sliders get moved up because remember, right? Like you said, it ain't about matches, ain't about skill. So I think Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake, and the Undertaker in that 5.
Oh, I'm with that too. Because
you know what I'm saying?
We do this.
Yeah.
If anybody in the hood do this,
yeah,
we know what it is. We didn't start doing that shit till Jake the Snake started doing it.
Right.
So again,
there was literally during the Prince of Darkness to American Badass Undertaker run, I was having conversations with old wrestling fans that were like, hey, I remember when the Undertaker used to wrestle and shit. I'm like, he's still wrestling?
He's still like, what? For
like,
real?
Matter of fact, he on a Decade of Destruction right now.
Yeah, he's still out here with people ass. Like,
it was like, oh, damn, for real? I'm like,
yeah.
And then, oh, man, how come he ain't got the jacket in the, where Paul Bearer at?
I thought he died. Like, I thought he died. He came back, like, literally. Like, there are wrestlers, even in the underrated case, that had an impact. Like a Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is another one that the hood heavily fucked with.
Yeah.
See, cause the Bam Bam Bigelow wasn't for play.
Man.
Like, the hood wasn't fucking with the one-man gang, Jack.
Yeah, no. And they actually made him from the hood in Chicago.
They made him from Holsted.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, nah.
Yeah, and we asked Hood on the show, like, yo, why all of the wrestlers be from Halsted Street in Chicago? Like, why? Like, why it was bad back then. Like, but still, like,
right.
Could nobody do no Chicago Avenue and Laramie Street fight? That'd be more authentic. Be more authentic.
Hey, but then again, also, I mean, the one man gang couldn't be from K-Town. We ain't never seen the motherfucking one man gang. Like, who? It's like,
you saw a big ass nigga like that buy crack.
Right,
that's about it.
I'm like, from K-Town.
Yeah, from K-Town.
Weighing 332 pounds. The one man gang.
Yeah.
Like, no, we ain't. Like, what you mean? They from
Come on,
Wrigley,
man. This nigga, right? This nigga ain't from K-Town. This nigga from Rolling Meadows. Get the fuck up out of here. But nah, like, there are wrestlers like that dead and gone. Like Rick Rude is another one. Gee, Rick Rude was my cousin Gerald's favorite wrestler.
Yeah, man.
Like, there are wrestlers. Mr. Perfect is another one.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say the legacy of Scott Hall is more than just Razor Ramon to some of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not gonna front. I ain't get like emotional like when Stuart Scott died.
Yeah.
Like when Stuart Scott died, you thought somebody in my family passed. I was in this bitch crying like shit. What the fuck?
Yeah, man.
But I did look like, damn, Scott?
Yeah, man.
Because the impact that he had on us. And then, and at that moment, that's when it hit my mind. Like, I wonder, do these white wrestlers know the impact that they have on the culture? You look at the arenas and you see the majority white people in the arenas anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I even talked about on this pod how I was skeptical about Bret Hart ever giving a black kid the shades. Now,
yeah,
it just so happens that did happen, and Bret Hart got a black wife too. So it's like, hey, but did the Hart Foundation do Bret Hart know? Even though he married to a sister, do Bret Hart know that the number 2 submission move done on brothers, black kids, brothers, or brothers, sisters, first cousins, all of that. The number 2 move that's done in that house is the sharpshooter. Number 1 is the figure 4. We getting the figure 4 off first. But number 2 is the sharpshooter. Do he know how much black people loved the Hart Foundation and loved him? Did Jim the Anvil Neidhart knew that? Like, did Jim Neidhart know that?
Right. Yeah. No. And you know what? And then with them being from Canada, this actually all makes me think of a promo that Bret Hart cut when they was doing the Hart Foundation. He was like, "Look, we don't know racism. Like everybody is, we all one on this side. It's you Americans that's on that racist fuck shit."
That he did, yeah, he did.
So he probably looking at it like, of course black people love me because I love them. I'm Canadian.
I love everybody. Like Demolition. Did Demolition know how much black people loved them?
Oh man,
because black people loved Demolition.
Yeah, still my quote favorite tag team at their peak.
Right.
Still my favorite tag team.
I don't think it's no black person that gonna come out and be like, "Yo, we really fuck with Tito Santana." Like, there's wrestlers that I don't think gonna ever get that love. Like, I don't like. My father probably ain't gonna say, "Hey, that Tito Santana." He probably like, but Bobby the Brain Heenan is another one that black people loved.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But the reason why there's reasons why I asked this question. You know what I'm saying? The people in the arena, the look of the arena, the feel of the arena. When you see these Make-A-Wishes and all this shit, who they see? They see white kids. Like, I ain't never seen, like, I ain't gonna say I ain't never seen it because, you know, it depends on the vignette of the day.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I know John Cena didn't made a black kid's wish before, but John Cena is really the one wrestler that I know for damn sure know the culture mess with him.
Yeah.
Because he was rapping.
Yeah, hey, that man called Freddie Fox for a fucking feature.
Right.
He know.
Like,
oh yeah. Like, because there's a certain type of individual that know who Freddie Fox is and that fuck with him. So
there's a certain type.
You know what I'm saying? There's a certain type of rap fan and black man that knows who Freddie Fox is.
Like a Roman Reigns, Roman know the culture mess with him. He's married to the culture, the Usos, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But there's the Undertaker. Like, I know Undertaker be on his, his not Black Lives Matter, excuse me. He be on his MAGA man shit. But do the Undertaker know and understand that there's a large group of black people that probably list him as one of the few MAGA people that they fuck with?
Right.
Do the Undertaker know that? Like, it's still like you looking at the documentary. We was all looking at the documentary, and we was like, "Oh, he got on this MAGA shit." No, but it's the Undertaker, so I mean, it's whatever. Like whatever. Let that been another white person, fam. Let that been Hulk Hogan with a MAGA shirt on. We knew it. We knew it anyway. We don't fuck with them. Like,
oh yeah, they were the killer. You know, the Blue Lives Matter shirt on. You protecting the blue line,
Hogan. Like, there's rest like the Undertaker's for the culture. I hope and pray that Macho Man knew he was for the culture. He had to because he had the rap album.
Yeah, I was like, Macho Man did a diss track, and he didn't have one guitar. I was like, wait a minute. Ain't you built from Sarasota, Florida? Weren't you born in Glen Ellen?
Right.
Where did all this rap shit come from?
Dallas Grove, North. I think it was North.
I had the simple hook, be a man, Hulk.
Yeah. So I'm sure, I would hope, but I'm sure Macho Man knew he was for the culture. But like other people, I really want, like, this first black champion, we would love to have black wrestlers on here from time to time and talk about some shit. But no, like, if we ever get to a point where we like, fuck it, let's just invite wrestlers, I will treat white wrestlers like the knuckleheads Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson do basketball players every time the episode starts. Every episode they do their podcast, they say, who's the first basketball player who bust your ass in the NBA? And then they answer it. My first question to any white wrestler, especially the ones that I know that we fuck with, it would literally be, hey man, do you know your effect on the culture?
Mm.
And I really want them to explain that shit.
Yeah.
Like, and some of the ones, and it's crazy that a lot of the ones who really affected the culture heavy are dead.
Yeah.
Like, that's the other fucked up part. Like Eddie Guerrero, just off the fact that he was Mexican, we messing with. Well, like, let me say, because Tito Santana Mexican, and we ain't really fuck with him like that. And I don't want to sound like
Tito, but you know what? I don't think we don't talk about this often because we're not brown people.
Go ahead, because I ain't want to say it, so you
But
can.
Tito Santana didn't seem like he really fucked with Mexicans either.
There we go. There we go.
I mean, he tagged with a French Canadian and then went to be a matador and then retired. Like, bro, you picked the most generic ass piece of culture you could be. That's like a black man coming out as a lawn jockey. Like, fam, what the fuck are you doing? You're a fucking lawn jockey?
I ain't want to say it. But you said it.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, hey, look. Even Ray and Eddie embraced Batista, and he half Mexican. He actually more Filipino than he is Mexican.
Yeah. And Batista know he fuck with Batista know the culture fuck with him.
Yeah, I mean, like, yo, we never seen him with Conan or nothing. We ain't never seen Tito Santana around no Mexican or Puerto Ricans. We ain't seen him around no Latin individuals. Nobody. Like, ever. That's why Hulk Hogan called him the Ariba Man in that promo for that Survivor Series.
He did call him the Ariba.
The Ariba Man. I was like, who was the Ariba Man?
And then Bobby the Brain Heenan something about the flying burrito. Bad News Brown would have never let that stand. But like, I really want to know. And a lot of these wrestlers are dead. Rey Mysterio, I mean, fuck with the culture. We know that shit. You met him. Mm-hmm. You know, he shook up that thing. Like, hey,
met Rey Mysterio at Lenox Mall and champ.
Right?
No mask, nigga.
No mask. But like, did Eddie Guerrero know the culture mess with him? Do the culture mess with Chavo? I don't know like that, but I know the Mexican culture fuck with him, but I ain't gonna say like a brother would or whatever. But we did when they was tag team champions.
Fact.
So maybe roll off. But like the majority of the people who we really fucked with heavy are gone. Yeah. They gone. Yeah, or hanging on.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Hart. I'll give you another one, just for manager's case. Because when I met Jimmy Hart, I don't think Jimmy Hart expected to see a black man really. Shit, it's Jimmy Hart. What up, fam? Jimmy Hart looked at me like, hey, brother.
It's like, oh, you know me?
Yeah, you know, like, like, fam, you the man for the South. Like, literally, he looked at me like, and the dude who did the interview had to explain, like, oh no, that's the wrestling person right here.
Right.
And he got to talking about, then he was like, oh, okay. This is the megaphone that I used for WrestleMania 3. We took the picture with it. Matter of fact, perfect story about that and why I truly have a question about if some wrestlers understand how the culture fuck with him, fuck with them. $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. At Comic-Con one year, I had met the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. This was before everything opened up because we had a booth over there. So now I was working at ICB. Mm-hmm. And I woke up, Beyonce Fox is with me, and she sees the $1 Million Man in the belt. And she was like, I bet you ain't gonna go over there and holler at $1 Million Man. Because this is the same year that I saw Maurice and Shut the Fuck Up. This is the same time I saw her and just I nutted up. I couldn't even say shit. Just like, damn. She banned the motherfucking person. So I walk up to $1 Million Man, and me and the $1 Million Man having a conversation. I kick it off like, yo, what's going on? Boom, boom, boom. And I was like, man, if you don't mind me ask you a couple of questions. He was like, shoot. And I asked him, was it true that he was supposed to win the belt at WrestleMania 4, but he didn't get it because Macho Man threatened to go to NWA to win their championship. And that's why Ricky the Dragon Steamboat ended up leaving to after WrestleMania 4 to go to NWA, and he had the legendary matches with Ric Flair, Chi-Town Rumble, boom, 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 boom. Man, the way $1 Million Man looked at me when I asked him them questions, it was shock. And it wasn't just shock like, how was this person know this? Or asking me this question. It was, man, why this black kid asking me this damn question? He know all this shit. And he had told me, he was like, it's kind of off, but I won't go into detail. But just know winning that title was not winning the title was probably the best thing that happened to me. Because I probably wouldn't be here with this belt right here, my own belt, yada, yada, yada. So he keep the conversation going, and Virgil ass come over. And we start talking about Mega Powers versus Mega Bucks. And Virgil got the year wrong. He was like, no, that was SummerSlam 89. I said, nah, G, that was SummerSlam 88. Mega Powers versus Mega Bucks, because it was the first SummerSlam ever. The next year was Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake versus Zeus and Macho Man, the No Holds Barred joint that they did. And $1 Million Man looked at him and was like, yeah, he right, Virgil. Yeah, he right. And he signed Virgil ass for me. I was like, yo. Well, all through that conversation, I know he went from, oh man, who's this black dude, to not saying in a racist way, who's this black dude asking me these questions to, like, he's totally knowledgeable. I've noticed in some cases when it comes to white people, when you have white people who's been, when they ask questions about wrestling, they be shocked that black people know about wrestling. And Ross is up in the building. He said he nutted up when he saw Emma Tennille Dashwood. I probably would have to. I'm glad I didn't do that with Summer Rae though. And if you listen to the podcast, some might think that I had a shot, but that's neither here nor there. I got a good family over here. But yeah, it's like, because wrestling is not necessarily a white, a black sport, so to speak. Yeah. So that's why, like, when it comes
we never show up on the metrics.
Yeah, we never show up on the metrics like that. So it's a very interesting conversation that I think that is why Scott Hall is so important. His death is so important.
Yeah, man.
Because Scott Hall reached everybody with one gimmick that even when he went to WCW, it still lasted. And then when he came back to WWF, he didn't even come back. Like, what's crazy about the Scott Hall shit is that when his ass came back to WWF, the NWO came back. That shit is so special off the fact that he didn't even come back as Razor Ramon. He came back as Scott Hall.
Right.
And then got inducted into the Hall of Fame as Razor Ramon and as Scott Hall.
Yeah, Scott Hall at NWO. Yeah.
And the NWO. Like, that's already the raw part. But those wrestlers, man, like, he's one of those wrestlers that had a big impact to the culture. And I would hope that he know how much he affected the culture, how kids in the hood really fucked with Razor Ramon, how kids in the hood wanted to be Razor Ramon in more ways than one.
Right.
Learning the move sets and all of that stuff, and then following him to WCW and becoming fans of the NWO mainly because of him and Kevin Nash. I want Kevin Nash to know this. Like, I mean, I've been in the mood of giving flowers, as I sift close and closer the 40 years old. I want Kevin Nash to know. If he don't know it, you affected the culture, and the culture messed with you the long way, Jack. And there's a lot of wrestlers that's out here that's alive right now. Not named John Cena, because he's the gimme on this one, that really affected the culture, and they know it. The Undertaker is one of those people. Again, we don't care what your political affiliations is, and you're probably the one wrestler that we don't care, because Chris Jericho's wife was at January 6th. And once Marge found, like even before Marge found out, they was like, yo, we kind of iffy on Chris Jericho. And you're talking to somebody who had Chris Jericho and Raw is Jericho written on his gym shirt. It's like, man, nah, he out here tweaking, man. Undertaker wear a doggone MAGA shirt, and well, not a MAGA shirt, but a Blue Lives Matter shirt. And I'm like, hey, man, that's a
MAGA shirt. That's a MAGA remix. That's the MAGA workforce shirt.
Right? You're right. But we looked at it and was like, you know what? I mean, she from Texas. What you expect?
Right.
Like we used every excuse.
Like literally, I was like, man, you know, Texas don't really vote for nobody. Like they vote for them. Like,
That's what y'all expect? Like that we really hit Marge with the what y'all expect. And like Jake the Snake Roberts, Jake the Snake Roberts definitely went through a long road, man. Jake the Snake Roberts need to know that we, culture-wise, the culture mess with him. And when we do this right here, we don't do this just to wrap it up, be anything like that. We knew this first is, hey, man, he about to DDT the shit. And just in the move set in general, the number one move done in high school and grade school fights, period, is the DDT. Like if somebody DDT somebody in the hood in a fight, they won.
Yeah, absolutely.
The majority of the time,
DDT.
Right. He needs to know that the culture mess with him. Cody needs to know that the culture messed with Dusty Rhodes heavy.
Yeah.
We love the fact that he brought Sapphire ass out there. Like, yo, okay, Dusty, this is what we get to the point. Look, black people thought Cody Rhodes was mixed for quite some time. If you want to be honest, a lot of people thought Sapphire was his mama.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about in the hood.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, then he had a nice tan. You know, he could be a biracial kid. I mean, and obviously, you know, like they'll say that Dusty Rhodes was taken from superstar Billy Graham, but he was really taken from black people around his way.
Man.
like that's his real character.
Yeah, and a lot of people would say they took a lot of stuff from Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali said he took a lot of stuff from Gorgeous George. So black people messed with y'all. My thing is, I hope that y'all know, some of y'all know, that we messed with y'all. Because here's my big example. And it was funny. Just go listen to some dude pod, you will understand. I talked about how raw it would be if Stone Cold promoted his beer at Lorraine's in Maywood. Like, do y'all know and understand?
Hey, let me get the 12 of that Steve Austin, though.
With him there.
Let me get the 12 of that Steve Austin. I didn't know you was coming to the
hood. Yo, hey, Marge be like, hey. Stone Cold is at Lorraine's right now. Stone Cold who? Steve Austin, fam. Get the fuck out of Hey, go to Lorraine's, G. He got the new beer. He said he coming to the hood. Hey, if the line at Lorraine's for Stone Cold Steve Austin would be so long.
Like, yeah.
Because
niggas outside be like, yeah, I'm gonna get the pack of that Steve Austin, and that's the bottom line, yo. I promise.
Because before we wrap this shit up, the biggest example for me, because I've seen it firsthand. I'm not talking out of my ass with this. This is not let's do a podcast. No, I am not talking out of my ass with this, because I saw it twice. I saw it with Randy Orton. When Randy Orton had to explain, no, we listen to Hot 104 in St. Louis because I'm from there. We was like, oh shit, all right, cool. But the number one example was Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle had signed a deal with Bellator. and Bellator was coming to St. Louis. See that? Is. Give me the 12 pack of that.
Oh, hell yeah. I need the 12 pack of that.
So Kurt Angle signed a deal with Bellator, and Bellator was coming to St. Louis. This was Bobby Lashley fight. Bobby Lashley fought that night. But this was Ken Shamrock and Kimbo Slice. And the PR person had called me and was trying to get an interview. And we was like, yo, with some of the fighters, and we was like, that's cool. We hear Kurt Angle coming. We'll do all of this, but Kurt Angle has to interview with us too. Mm-hmm. So he was like, oh, okay. That's cool. When I say me, Boogie D, A+, was geeked to know that Kurt Angle was coming, it's an understatement. Like, we was like, no, we got to be on point for this.
Right.
And I'm the one who made it happen. So the COO of Bellator, I can't remember his name, is an Asian dude, tall Asian dude, came with Kurt Angle. And we brought him up in the studio with Boogie. And it's me, Boogie, and Plus. I'm filming and stuff. Plus is doing the interview and stuff. We geeked in. I do a side interview with him. I put the picture on the First Black Champ Instagram before. Like the gif of Kurt Angle waving while I'm about to escort him over there to another spot. And then also a picture, a still shot of it. And then it was so many black folks up in that studio was like, yo, is that Kurt Angle? Yo, what the fuck Kurt Angle doing up here? Right. My man DJ Cut was like, nah, we got to do it. Hey, if Kurt Angle up here, we got to do an interview with him. And the COO of Bellator looks at me and was like, yo, this is exciting. Like, we didn't get this at the other station. Like, y'all know who Kurt Angle is? And I was like,
how do you not know who fuck Kurt Angle is?
Right, how do you not? Right, this is Kurt Angle, Olympic gold medalist, broken freaking neck, world champion, like one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Hell yeah, we all know who Kurt Angle is up in here. And he was shocked, Camp. He was shocked. And that night they had the joint. And I'll never, because this was my big boy moment. Because I had seats in the pit, basically. And Jimmy Smith, who's now the color commentator of Raw, I did an interview with him too. He saw me because I was damn near behind him while they was doing it. He turns around and sees me. He's like, hey, JR, how you doing? And I'm like, hey. And then Kurt Angle was walking past, and Kurt Angle sees me, stops, and he shakes my hand like, hey, JR, how's it going? Boom, boom, boom. Nice. And Hot Rod was there.
Okay.
And he looked and was like, huh? Like, what you do? I was like, nah, I interviewed him. And I'll never forget Quentin Rampage Jackson being down the row and looking and pointing like, yo, who is that over there? And they was like, yo, I don't know. Kurt Angle ain't have to see me after the interview and shake my hand and do anything. He could have forgot about little old black dude that had me going around the station. But the thing is I don't think Kurt Angle knew what to expect with coming to an urban station. See, that other station he went to was a pop station. So it was a whole bunch of white people up in there. It's like, oh, it's Kurt Angle. They probably see these people all the time. And you know this with interviewing the people that you interviewed at up in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
They ain't used to coming to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And they actually try to avoid it. And the thing is, depending on how high you are on the pop culture meter is why they'll interview you or not. Because, like, to be real, I'm sure that Kurt Angle was walking into certain spots and they probably asked him things like, so do you think you'll do movies like The Rock? It was like, no, bitch, I'm wrestling. like, no, I'm about to fight. Like for real.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. Yeah, no, it's And this is even because you sparked this now on my mind. This is another reason why I'm sure they don't know how much the culture fuck with them, because I remember just me even knowing the Lucha Dragons and who Seth Rollins was, and I was excited to meet him, and even the reps around him, they were like, "Oh, so you really like watch wrestling?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I've been watching since I was like 5 or 6." I was like, "Seth Rollins is the fucking man."
Man.
I was like, "Yo," I was like, "I can't wait to see his cash in." I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I can't wait to see the shit. Because I met him when he still had the Money in the Bank briefcase. And yeah, they don't expect anybody to know who they are. Now, granted, they take some shots in the dark too to show you how much, ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fans all over the planet watching the First Black Champ or listening to it. They sent Ryback to Hot 963 in Indianapolis. And then when I knew who he was, they were like, "Oh, so like, oh, you're really watching?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh shit, Ryback." I was like, "Yo, what's up, man?" And you know what? I know y'all hate his guts, right? And I know he be getting himself killed on Twitter every chance he can. But Ryback was a really nice guy to me. And that's why I never really joined in on the slander of Ryback, because he ain't do shit to me. When I met him, he was all peace and chill. He has one of the craziest diets in the world.
He does.
But I was like, man, I kind of feel bad because he came to the Urban Station and fucked with us. And then he was shocked that we knew him too. But that's the bar for urban stations, urban platforms, and wrestling. They just throwing out anybody. They throwing out the new guys because they're like, oh, maybe we'll get y'all to watch with this. When really, nah, bro, send the Miz, send John Cena, send, you know what I'm saying, send Rey Mysterio, send Eddie Guerrero, send, you know what I'm saying, send y'all legends, because we fuck with them too. Like, and if y'all jesting them out there and you saw the reaction, they might even start changing the artwork on some of them shirts.
Yeah, see, and that's why, again, to put a bow on this, that's why Scott Hall is so important. Mm-hmm. It's bigger than wrestling for me. It's bigger than just, all right, man, we just got another wrestler gone. Scott Hall was part of the culture. He was part of the reason why a lot of us got up in the morning and watched Superstars. He was one of the reasons why we went and got the Royal Rumble video game or some of the other video games, because we wanted to do the Razor's Edge and all of those things. He was one of the reasons why we fucked with the NWO Heavy. He was one of the reasons why we was doing the Too Sweet joints and everything like that. And then even from a culture perspective, inside of wrestling, Scott Hall influenced a lot of the wrestlers that you see today. Ain't no wrestler cooler than this dude, Jack.
Yeah.
Right. Ain't no wrestler oozing machismo.
Yeah.
And all of that shit, you know what I'm saying? Just to come out with the...
Yeah. Yeah, so I got the gold.
Hey, yo.
Yeah.
Toothpicks, flicking toothpicks at people's faces and shit. It's like, nah, even when he first came, like, nah, ain't no nigga popping no toothpick in my face. Then he became a face and was like, oh man, I'm doing that shit to everybody. All right. To give him his flowers, to me, is more than talking about his impact in the ring.
Yeah.
That man was very much impactful on a way of life for a lot of us when it came to watching this shit. Mm-hmm. So to give Kevin Nash his flowers.
Scott Hall.
Scott Hall his flowers. Mm-hmm. But not just Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, Undertaker, all of these wrestlers, G, just know that the culture fucks with y'all. Mm-hmm. And we bring y'all in, and all we ask is for respect and to hold us down.
Right.
And Scott Hall definitely did that for us.
Right.
And First Black Champ definitely salutes the life and the legacy of Scott Hall. Mm-hmm. To his family, to Cody, who be out there wrestling and everything too. Yo Pops was more than just a wrestler to some of us.
Yeah.
He y'all dad, and we honor that. But he was more than just Razor Ramon to a lot of us, G.
Yeah.
He was one of the coldest motherfuckers that was out there that was doing it in the hood, mess with them heavy.
Absolutely, man. And to piggyback off of that, my only final word on Scott Hall, and I've been thinking about this since we got the news that he would be on life support for only a few more hours. And I feel really comfortable saying it, so I'm going to bring it here and I'm just going to leave it there. Scott Hall is, for me, unquestionably top 5, top 10, I would say top 5 impactful game changers in the world of wrestling, period. And you think about how he did that in the window of time he had. Imagine if he gets a world title shot, if he headlines a WrestleMania, if he has himself clean enough to continue to do his thing for even another 5 years, what he would do then. But there are bigger stars, there are bigger superstars in the world of wrestling. And they'll never get that argument from me. But when we're talking about impact, creating great moments, you're not going to find any of the legends of legends that have done what Scott Hall was able to do in the world of professional wrestling. And we can only count from 94 to 98. Like with just from 94 to 98, Scott Hall did more to impact the entire world of wrestling than a lot of guys now on their 15th, 20th year. So I would just like that to be the lasting memory for Scott Hall, because he showed you he's the blueprint of character development, over, putting people over, putting your team on, making an impact without a main event match, making an impact with just your mic time. If you got 2 minutes, then you got 2 minutes. If you got a 10-minute match, then you got a 10-minute match. And we never heard of Scott Hall feeling that he was being buried, or we never said, oh man, they killing this character and they're not letting him get over. It's no, he got himself over every single fucking time. And then he did it for everybody else around him and created literal moments and characters in time that will live longer than most wrestling careers will, and they'll be twice as long.
Man.
So rest in peace, Scott Hall. And you'll be hard pressed to find 5 or more people who have impacted the world of wrestling the way Scott Hall has.
Yeah, and I can't think of 5. I could think of like 3, but I can't think of 5 that's better than him on that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we know, the 3 are the 3. And even then, it's only because they've been world champs.
Man. Yeah. Scott Hall, man. That nigga was cold.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
And y'all white wrestlers that know we fuck with y'all, give us a shout out or something, Joe. No. Give us the shades, all right? Would have loved to see more Jamals get shades, Bret Hart. Just wanted to let you know that. Who else gave out shit? Was giving it the back, like, the Bushwhackers. You could have licked one of our faces.
Nah, decent.
Hey, I got Pity City. I got Pity City, so that was the closest to that one. Brian Knobs, Pity City to me. That shit. Yeah. I want to fight him though after that shit.
I
blame Courtney. I blame Courtney Cross on that one. I want to fight. Brian Knobs on that. And I don't know Brian Knobs, like Nasty Boys ain't cultural.
Yeah, no.
All right, before we get out of here, your top 5 cultural wrestlers of all time.
Top 5 cultural wrestlers. I'm gonna go Ric Flair.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna go Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, because he gonna be at Lorraine's with the IPA.
Yeah.
At least look, Stone Cold at least come to Forest Park Benny's. At least come to Forest Park Benny's. Look, if 50 Cent could come to the hood and push that Branson, He can come to the hood and push that IPA, man, or at least just come to the Benny's in Forest Park.
There you go. There you go. Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes, sir.
Even though y'all will try to remove him now, I'm just being fair. I grew up in the 80s. Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, fuck him. But you're right.
Yeah. And culture. So, yo, I won't lie. I'm going to toss up here because are we really considering the Ultimate Warrior culture? Because I really want to throw Razor Ramon at 5.
So,
because I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, the Ultimate Warrior ain't cultural.
Okay.
But the Ultimate Warrior was just wild and crazy, and niggas like it.
Yeah. Okay. So, and when I say culture, like I remember my uncle coming to me and saying, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold Butch Green said so. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like, dig it is something that I even use to this day, but Macho Man with the the band, like I thought he had a do-rag on, but it was a bandana. But like the only people I knew wearing bandanas like that was black dudes that was auto mechanics. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like I'm just telling y'all where I'm from, Freeport, Illinois.
You right,
auto mechanics dress like that. You know what I'm saying? And like I seen dudes with the weight belts. You know what I mean? And the cut off tie dye. Like I seen some fake swole niggas dressed like the Macho Man all the time.
Yeah.
So Ric Flair goes without saying, even though he was broke, I will say, like, just culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, another reason why everybody want Rolexes and limousines, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, hey, look, again, gold chains, the Scarface. Shit, you listen to a lot of 90s rap albums, they're all Scarface influence, and then there's the wrestler version of Scarface, which is Razor Ramon. To me, that's all synonymous with each other. I don't know another wrestler where like culture is embraced, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the bottom line, got said a whole lot after 1996.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And being the bad guy. And then, of course, again, look, this is the Outsiders, Sky Hall, Wolfpack. No, niggas was calling themselves the Wolfpack. And I mean NIGGAs.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm throwing it in there. Like, I'm only equating it to, again, this ain't about matches. This ain't about headlining no events. This is strictly like, oh, I'm in school, we in gym class, and somebody either getting the stunner or the razor's edge.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why, and only like, and Hogan only for posing is why I got him in there. To be real, I didn't know nobody trained saying their prayers or eating vitamins. I'll be honest with you.
White kids.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, Hogan and Warrior kind of need to be moved to that same tier where like nobody was really talking that talk, but like you would pose like Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying? Like that happened. So honestly, he shouldn't even be in the 5. I need to find another 5. And I don't even know who it would be at this point at culture. But for culture,
I got it. Oh, I got
you. Know what I'm saying? Like by default, it might be The Rock, but like
I'm gonna tell you what it is.
But the 4 I do have in there for sure is, again, Flair. I'm gonna go Flair, Macho Man, Austin, Razor. We'll leave it open.
I got Flair, and that's by a country mile. Because Flair is the culture. I just hope he loves it, and I hope Teddy Long is lying. But I got Flair on that list, Stone Cold on that list, DX is that group.
Okay.
Niggas was getting suspended for school because of DX.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah. And with Razor, I'm going to use the NWO in general. Okay. I'm going to combine NWO and Razor. Because that man was impactful with 2 characters. How many people can tell you that they was impactful with 2 characters?
Right.
Same person, 2 characters, different companies.
And 2 mannerisms, too. It wasn't like he just did a lot of the same shit just for a different you know what I'm saying, name. Like he
Yeah.
literally built 2 other guys.
Yeah. So Flair, Stone Cold, DX, and with DX is adding all of them to Shawn Michaels and all of them to like combined NWO. And then for the last one, I'll put the Macho Man too.
Okay.
Like
I'm with that.
Macho Man had us liking the thing. Like Macho Man had us thinking that we was at graduations listening to his music.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's like,
Cue the Macho Man music. Turn
right.
that
Like
shit up when I
there's
walk out.
there's a group of us who graduated and said, "Ooh yeah," when the music came on. So yeah. So man, that's it, man. I think we not only put a bow on the career of just talking about, you know, where we learned about, you know, Scott Hall in some cases where other people didn't. There was a group, I forgot who it was. I think it was the ladies from Wrestling Wind Down that was asking for like matches to look for Scott Hall. And you know, I told them my favorite match of him period was him like Razor Ramon versus Diesel on WWF Superstars. That's the best Superstars wrestling match ever. You know, a lot of people gonna say the joint with him and Bret Hart. A lot of people gonna say other joints, but to me, if you want to look at a dope ass Razor Ramon match, if you can find that bitch on YouTube because it's not on the network, Razor Ramon, Diesel, Superstars, that shit cold. So yeah, so that's it, man.
All right, man. Well, hey, look, as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to the show this day and every day, every week. It's always greatly appreciated. Of course, likes, comments, shares, tags, conversations, rebuttals, questions, all of it is well received. And we try to get back to you, whether it's on social or on this platform right here. Please don't stop doing it because even though we like doing this show, just because you do make it greater because you interact with us. So never stop doing that. And as always, man, if you ever want to talk about wrestling in an unconventional way, you do so by checking out the First Black Champ podcast. Camp, bang. We are out. Rest in peace, Scott Hall.